Man, nobody's seen this coming.
Well, tonight we do know that Postmaster General Dejoy says that he's planning to step down. Dejoy notified the USPS Board of Governors that it's time to start searching for his successor.
Big changes are coming to the U.S. Postal Service. Postmaster General Dejoy is stepping down after nearly 5 years in office. But why now? What does it mean for the future of USPS? Let's break that down.
Postmaster General, prior to your efforts to implement Delivering for America and move to the Palmetto facility in Georgia, on-time delivery for first-class mail in North Georgia was over 90%, correct?
Not so.
Not so? What was on-time first-class mail delivery in Georgia prior to the changes that you implemented at Palmetto?
So Atlanta was always in the bottom 20% of our service standard across the nation.
So my question is, what percentage of first-class mail?
I don't remember. It's probably in the low 80s. So a single-piece first-class mail was definitely in the low 80s.
In the midst of the changes that you implemented mid-spring, that declined to 36%, correct?
We've been through this. Yes, it has.
We've been through this. Well, we're going through it again.
Okay, let's go.
On-time delivery of first-class mail in Metro Atlanta and North Georgia, late spring, was 36%, correct?
That is correct.
Dejoy took over as Postmaster General in 2020. Now he's asking the USPS Board of Governors to start searching for his replacement. His reason? He says it's time for new leadership as the Postal Service enters its next phase. In his resignation letter, Dejoy reflected on the challenges faced during his season, including the C-19 pandemic and significant financial losses. He noted that when he arrived, the USPS was on the brink of running out of cash within 60 days and had accumulated $90 billion in losses over 2 decades. Reactions to his departure have been mixed. Some postal workers and union leaders see it as a chance to restore stability, while others worry about what's next. The American Postal Workers Union, which often clashed with Dejoy over job cuts, called his resignation long overdue.
How were you actually selected for this role? Because it's not a presidential appointment.
No, it's not. And I was actually called by a recruiter late in the process. I was called by a recruiter, and I went through a normal interview process with the board.
Some Texas politicians, such as U.S. Rep. Randy Weber, expressed relief, criticizing Dejoy's season due to ongoing issues like stolen mail. Similarly, U.S. Rep. Al Green called for transparency and a better operational understanding from Dejoy's successor. But Dejoy's time at USPS has been full of controversy. His 10-year plan to fix an $160 billion budget gap led to major changes, like consolidating mail processing centers and adjusting delivery standards.
Yeah, so I found in the report that USPS must offer reduced postage rates for certain users, such as nonprofits, and its uniform rate requirement means serving remote areas at the same price as cities. Now, critics say this is making USPS less profitable.
Despite this, USPS still reported a massive $9.5 billion loss in 2024. Now, speaking of running out of cash, would you like your paycheck faster? Join earning with my link in the description and get $10 today. Make any day your payday. Check the link below. So let's not forget the delays and service cuts that frustrated the public and lawmakers alike. Dejoy's leadership brought big challenges, mail slowdowns, disrupted deliveries of medications and important documents, cost-cutting measures, reduced post office hours, especially in rural areas. He also made major workforce cuts, which many say hurt USPS operations even more. And his ties to private logistic companies, those raised serious conflict of interest concerns. It wasn't just policy failures. Dejoy was caught up in multiple scandals. Reports say he pressured employees at his former companies to make political donations, then reimbursed them. Federal investigations put even more heat on him, and his investments in private logistics firms that work with USPS raised ethical red flags. His time at USPS also fueled conspiracy theories. Some believed his cost-cutting moves were meant to weaken mail-in voting during the 2020 election. Others thought he was trying to push USPS toward privatization. While not all of these claims were proven, they damaged the public trust. Now, Here's a financial institution that you can trust. BMG Money. If you need financial flexibility, BMG Money has your back. Whether it's for an emergency or an investment in yourself, borrow responsibly and take control of your future. Click the link in the description for details. Here's another major failure. USPS's delayed transition to electric vehicles. Even with federal funding.
I know there's been a lot made of this EV purchase, and according to, I think, the Postal Museum, your current cost for a traditional, what I'll call traditional vehicle, is $11,651, and the cost for the electric vehicle is $59,000. So that's a $47,000 increase, or at 66,000 vehicles, $125 million. Now, this is probably your opportunity to tell us.
That was the cost in 1987 when we bought them.
What's that?
That was the cost in 1987 when we bought the LLVs.
Okay, so that's what the museum says, right? So I'll take your word for it, right? And I'm sure since 1987 it's gone up. My bigger question is this, and this might be your opportunity to be critical of this place, of Congress. I think you stated that the subsidy from the IRA is what makes the cost of the EV, it makes it worth the effort, charging, et cetera, making the change, the additional cost, and so on and so forth. Can you quantify that? What is the subsidy, if you will, provided for each vehicle that the post office procures?
Well, I think once in place in our particular route system, we have 300,000.
Yeah, sir, I get that you've kind of done the numbers, but that portends to me that you know the numbers. So what is the subsidy? You've done look, this has been your business even when you were in the private sector to a certain extent, right? So do you have a number? What does that look like? Because with all due respect, I guess, to a certain extent, Congress is either mandating or incentivizing the purchase, but the American people are paying for it, whether they buy stamps or whether they pay their taxes. So I'm trying to discern what that cost is.
You gave us money for us to pursue a certain initiative.
Yeah.
I needed vehicles, right? So we had $1.9 billion. I've purchased enough vehicles to deploy an infrastructure for $1.9 billion. Okay, then I had $1.2 billion for vehicles. I used $1.2 billion to neutralize the increase from gas vehicles on the purchase price to electric vehicles. So that's more or less.
I get the point, but
Dejoy stuck with gas-powered trucks, slowing the rollout of electric delivery vehicles. Many lawmakers and environmental advocates saw this as a huge missed opportunity. And then there's technology. While FedEx and UPS invested in AI-driven logistics and advanced tracking systems, USPS under Dejoy lagged behind. This led to slower processing, higher costs, and criticism that USPS wasn't keeping up with modern delivery demands. The USPS Board of Governors, which will select Dejoy's replacement, is made up of members appointed by President Trump and confirmed by the Senate. And there could be even bigger changes ahead. President Donald Trump recently stated that he might place the USPS under the control of the Commerce Department. This would shift the agency under executive branch oversight, with Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick potentially taking charge of operations. If this happens, it could reshape USPS's financial model and decision-making process entirely. But that's not all. Trump is also considering an executive order to dismiss the USPS Board of Governors altogether, which would give his administration direct control over the agency. Supporters of this move argue that it would make USPS more efficient and financially viable. However, critics worry it could disrupt mail service, especially in the rural areas, and threaten the independence of an institution that has been separate from the executive branch since 1970. USPS's role in democracy, from mail-in voting to everyday communication, could be at stake. In a surprising move, though, Dejoy has now teamed up with the newly established Department of Government Efficiency, an initiative focused on streamlining federal agencies and cutting operational waste. While some see this as an opportunity for Dejoy to apply his cost-cutting strategies beyond USPS, others are skeptical. pointing to his controversial track record. Sources close to the matter say Dejoy will be advising on postal logistics and supply chain improvements, but critics worry that his involvement could lead to further privatization efforts and reduced public services.
U.S. mail!
In Dallas and more than 100 cities across the country, including Los Angeles and New York, the American Postal Workers Union raised signs protesting against possible privatization of the U.S. Postal Service, which has always been an independent government agency.
The USPS has sent out early voluntary retirement letters to eligible postal workers earlier this year and is on track to release 10,000 workers so far.
At least they're not firing anybody. They're just doing it through attrition, and maybe they're not hiring new people. Let's try it. See what happens.
Whether his role in DOGE will improve government efficiency or repeat past mistakes remain to be seen. With Dejoy stepping down, the USPS Board of Governors now has to find a new leader while they have time. The next Postmaster General faces a tough challenge, fixing financial struggles while keeping mail delivery reliable. The USPS has outlined plans to modernize operations, including upgrading delivery trucks, improving sorting technology, and expanding package services to stay competitive. But the next leader will have to secure funding and public trust to make these changes happen. So what do you think? Was Dejoy's resignation long overdue, or was he actually helping USPS? Let me know in the comments. And before you go, let me know how you feel about Doge. What's going on with that? Check out the merch store and get exclusive designs that celebrate hardworking federal employees. You should see them down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. It's RippzMedia.